Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I hope you had a nice weekend. I hope you're in a good state of mind moving forward, because overall we are in a bull market, and I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep reminding people that this isn't the position we were in 2 years ago. This is the real thing. This is the real deal. And this situation is just not going to happen again for another 4 to 5 years until the next halving event specifically. Now, all we can best do in these times is try to position ourselves moving forward. But what I'm here to do today is get you more or less up to date on the situation in Lunar Classic, what's going on. We'll look at price. We'll look at the upgrade patch that's going to be going through. It should be going through now. I myself am going to be a little bit late to that party, but it will be done shortly after this video. Now, with all of this being said, right, the LUNC Dash system for me is definitely the best system I'm going to be using moving forward, because it's my home base. It's where I'm going to be using. A lot of you are asking me in DM, in the comments, what am I using? It's LUNC Dash. You can just go to the LUNC Dash website, follow the links in the description, and it will bring you to this. Just connect your wallet and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm seeing. So first of all, let's talk about the upgrade. This should be going through as we are speaking. Validators should be more or less getting their nodes ready and doing all of the back end work to get themselves ready for this upgrade to go through. Once the broader consensus have got this upgrade patched in, it's all T's crossed, I's dotted, so to speak. It's going to be a situation where the chain will then resume, but there has to be a certain percentage of people. I think it was like 66% at some point. It might have changed since then, but who knows? So this upgrade in itself is nothing really to boast about. There's nothing really here that is groundbreaking stuff that is going to lead us to a really good situation, because I think a lot of this work is walking towards the route of alliance, and it's going to introduce a lot of third parties to a system that doesn't have any of its own utilities, more or less leaving a whole broad market open for the taking. And that's just kind of the situation we are in. So let's move over to this proposal, and I guess this will be going to a proposal soon. So will it really work? And the honest response here, the blunt response, would be to say to people, this in itself is a really good gesture. It's really wholehearted, so to speak, but the real technicals behind the situation are far more complex than just making a tweak to move some of the community pool funds to go back into the Oracle rewards pool. In effect, you've got a bucket with a lot of holes in it, and you're just pouring a cup of water into this leaking bucket, hoping for those leaks to stop and hoping for the bucket to fill back up. Unless we patch those leaks, the bucket's simply not going to begin to fill back up. And I think that's the best way to explain this to people who are not very technical. Now, if I was to get technical with this and I was to go from a very technical standpoint, I would say to everybody, the biggest issue on chain at the moment is people running multiple nodes. And yes, I know it's boring. I keep mentioning it. And yes, you don't want to hear it. But at the end of everything, bite comes to crunch, this is the biggest issue on chain at the moment. They, in effect, are capitalizing on the system, and they are trying to figure out the best way they can get capital out of the LUNC chain and get around that dynamic commission system and receive less punishment. So all of those kind of situations that are unfolding with all of those different validators are definitely not helping the situation. And in effect, right, that is causing around 5 to 7 more validators to get pushed out of the active set, right? Because these validators are taking up multiple slots, and it gets to a point where it's very centralized moving forward, and it's only going to get worse. So the more people that spin up multiple nodes, the more people that are successful in doing this, the more people in turn that will go and do the same thing, in turn centralizing the active set further and further and further. And the idea with the DCM was to decentralize the active set, and it's not doing that. Instead, you're seeing validators go around that completely by spinning up multiple nodes. So as much as this proposal will go through, I will vote yes to it, it's not going to change the real core issues, those real holes that are there in the system. This is not even, I wouldn't even say like a pint cup of the bucket. I would say this is like a shot glass full. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to prevent the depletion. And something to take on board, right, with the Oracle rewards pool and the community pool is the community pool is in effect our bank. Now, if this was your bank account, would you say to yourself, you have an issue with too many funds, right? Would you then say to yourself, oh, nobody likes a bloated bank account? Of course you wouldn't say that to yourself. You would say to your friends, look how much money I've got. You know, I could fly here. I can buy this. I can do that. I'm safe. I'm secure. And that's the idea from my perspective on the community pool. So I don't see the CP being bloated in any way, shape or form in its current state, because it's not. And this really shows the strength of the overall blockchain. Now, in the community pool on LUNC Dash, it's 4.7 billion LUNC. The only place I see bloating is with that USTC. The burners would say burn it. I would say just burn it to save arguments and save any back and forthing and more divisions being caused by a very small amount of USTC. But you could use it to fund liquidity pools, different things like that. It could be used for a far more positive effect. The only problem with that is you've got WeMint Cash, which is currently depleting all of the USTC that more or less all of the holders on this chain are following that route. If you're not, my hat's off to you, fair play. But that is a situation that's happening. We can't change it. We can only just kind of figure out how we fit into the whole story. Now, for me, I would like to see our community pool at 10 billion LUNC, 20 billion LUNC, 100 billion LUNC, and I still wouldn't say to the community it's bloated, because it's our bank account, it's our treasury, it's everything. It enables us to hire as many development teams as you guys want. If you want to approve 10 development teams and we can afford 10 development teams, then go ahead and do that. And that's the positivity of having a substantial community pool. So I don't think it is such a good idea to sit there and think to ourselves, well, whatever's not being used to pay developers, we should just reroute it to the Oracle rewards pool to fund validators that are 90% just greed based and looking on how they can best capitalize on the system. You've not got anybody really thinking to themselves, well, how can I actually better the system itself? How can I make things more positive? How can I put the chain in a better place? How can I provide something it needs but doesn't have? These are the kind of validators we need, but those are not the kind of validators that we have, if that makes sense and it's not too confusing to you guys. But from my perspective, like I was saying, this whole kind of idea of replenishing the Oracle rewards pool, I think it's poor grammar. I think it's poorly worded. I think it's a great idea. It's wholeheartedly a good idea. It's got good intentions behind it, and it's going to send good vibes, I guess, out into the community. But I don't want anybody for any second to think that this is the time to take your boot off of, you know, the neck of this thing, because it's not. We need more people being more aware of the situation of people running multiple nodes. And what we actually need is you guys to go out and speak about these things. We need you to go out and hold these people accountable, because you're the ones who can do that. It's no good just me sitting here kind of bringing this up all the time and saying, look, hey guys, you know, this is going on. This is really bad and stuff. And, you know, people are telling me to name these people. I've named them. I've pointed them out. I've shown you exactly who they are. And at that point, it's down to you guys. But what I don't want to do is keep doing these videos, keep being negative and keep bringing up the negatives of everything just because of all of the core underlying issues with all of these different validators. So once again, right, this isn't a bad idea. It's not something I'm shunning. I'm definitely going to vote yes to it. I'm definitely going to support it, but it doesn't change the issues in hand, is what I'm getting at here. So I think there's some positives here. I think there's some negatives here. Let's move over to the LUNC price, because for me, this is pretty positive at the moment. We've seen a bit of a downtrend. We didn't break out when XRP broke out. We're still below that head and shoulders trend line, which I've been speaking about a lot recently, but we're back above the overall trend line, which is quite important. So currently we're moving between the head and shoulders trend line and the overall trend line itself. The RSI is looking good. We're not looking too oversold. It's in a good position. I think right now, as BTC is moving up, because as I'm recording this video on my fourth screen, I can actually see BTC is moving up. It looks like this time alts are going to be moving with it. So maybe it's our time to shine. So something really important to take into account here is I've set this up on a long-winded view for you guys. So we're not looking at short-term trading so much, but just for the bullish bearish momentum indicators. So we have been flagged a bearish then a bullish. This is really important because the last time we actually got one of these bullish momentum markers. I think it led to around, if we go from the inception of the first marker back here, you know, you're looking at a decent 174%. If you were to be more conservative and say, hey, let's take it from the origin of that last marker, it's around 109%. So I think overall things are looking really positive. We've got a huge cluster of dollar cost average in markers. We're getting DCA out markers, but what I'm paying attention to are these bullish bearish momentum markers, because as BTC moves up, the dominance moves up, and alts hopefully are going to move up with it. So I'm not looking at a more conservative shorthand play. Over the past 2 weeks, as BTC's been sort of coming down and pulling back and retesting, crashing, if you will, I called that out in a video that more or less followed that play. And now I think we're coming back up. I think we're in an accumulation point, and I think this is a good time to start thinking to yourselves, what do you really want to be involved in moving forward into this bull run? It's going to be really important because you don't have long. If we were to say to ourselves, well, there's around 30 days until BTC in itself halves. Going on the averages, it keeps changing. So currently right now it's at 25 days. Sometimes it moves back up to 28. Sometimes it moves back up to 30. But from what I hear, it's supposed to land on 420 again, which is a substantial day for that group of people. But in itself, we're very close. Okay, it's almost the end of March. We are almost there. And for me, if the community, the LUNC community specifically, can kind of get their frogs in the right boxes, so to speak, and we start to hold these different validators accountable, you start to show them that, hey, this isn't acceptable. And, you know, they'll just keep blocking people like they have been. But eventually the message is going to get across in a similar way that you guys got your message across to Binance, in the same way that you guys got your message across to TCC with the pay per job system, holding them accountable. So what I believe is, if the community is able to hold those people accountable and then hold Binance accountable, I don't understand why you can't hold this groups of people accountable for what they're doing by capitalizing on the depletion and overriding the DCM system. But let me know what you guys think about all of this. Other than that, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.